Hi, Internet. It's McLean. Today we're going to do a little Q&A. I put out a story on Instagram as well as a post on the community tab here on YouTube just to see if anyone had questions. It can be about filmmaking in general, weddings, kind of anything. So let's jump into it. Always recorded in a standard profile. What's the easiest way to ease into log? Get a good conversion LUT that brings you to a good starting point after shooting in log, so you can not be overwhelmed with correcting from scratch or grading from scratch. But a good Rec 709 conversion LUT, that'll get you there. Then also get familiar with using false color on your camera or your external monitor. That is so helpful when exposing for log, because you can really dial in the exact exposure that you need, making sure skin tones are in the right spot and that you're not blowing out any highlights or crushing shadows. And just in a glance, you can really get a feel for that. Also, I'd recommend getting a monitoring LUT. So a LUT on your monitor or your camera that is similar or is the final LUT that you plan to use in the grade, just so you can get a really accurate view of what the final image is going to look like while you're shooting, so you can expose correctly. Sometimes different LUTs act different ways and contrast ratios are different, and knowing what that's going to look like while you're shooting is invaluable. So I would definitely recommend that. Next question is, will you ever do a full wedding day BTS? Maybe. I'm not against it. I just am not really in that mode on a wedding shoot. I'm usually pretty focused on the task at hand. I'm not thinking about getting BTS stuff. In fact, on my stories on Instagram, usually I'll post the day after a wedding, hey, here's all the stills I took from a wedding, and it's all just parking lot photos, so I remember where I parked my car. But if there's enough interest, for sure I would do that. So let me know in the comments below if that's something you'd want to see. Best way to start booking destination weddings? Good question. A long time ago, I don't know, 8 years ago or so, we made a real push for this because we wanted to do a bit more traveling, more destination work. So a friend of ours was getting married in Perth, Australia. They had reached out because they saw a mutual friend's wedding film we had done. And when they reached out showing any interest, we kind of jumped at it and told them we would, if they brought us out there, we would shoot it for next to nothing. And we did that, and that led to more destination work. So you might have to do a few jobs, like 1 or 2, maybe 3 shoots to add to your portfolio so that you can show people, what you'd like to create. What's your favorite part of filmmaking? This changes a lot. Shooting is probably the most instantly gratifying. It's really fun to make beautiful images right in front of you. Editing is probably the spot or the area of filmmaking that I hate it during, but I love having edited. I feel really good after. I feel like I made something of myself after I've edited a project. So I guess those areas. Right now I'm also really getting back into kind of the grip part of filmmaking. Really excited about the dorkiest things, like certain light diffusers and lights and just lights. Lights are fun. How do you do it with kids? That is a doozy. So I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. I work from home. I have an office upstairs next to my daughter's room. It is, it's a lot. It's tricky. You have to be ready to be flexible, working weird hours. Thankfully, my wife is incredible, and she is watching the kids most of the day. I don't really have the answer for this. It's kind of a whatever works mentality for the first 5 years of your kid's life, I feel. At least that's what I've been doing. Do you scout a wedding location before the wedding day and make a shot list? If we've never shot at a place before and it's not local to us, we're not familiar with it at all, we would definitely like to scout it. We always try to just get a lay of the land and get a feel for what things are going to look like. We use the Sunseeker app to see where the sun's going to be at any given moment throughout a day, just to give us a good idea so we're prepared. We don't necessarily make a shot list. We might take note of certain locations for certain shots that we think could be cool, but we don't make any formal shot lists, no. Zooms or primes these days on full frame or Super 35? So we're on a Canon C70 with the focal reducer most of the time, so it's kind of both. It's a full frame field of view. I was a prime snob forever, still am, but I've recently come around to certain zooms, using it like a variable prime for, documentary run and gun shooting. It's so helpful to have everything that you need to grab B-roll or A-roll in one lens. So we've been using the Sigma 24-70 2.8, but with the focal reducer, it's an f2. And that's been a game changer. Just having everything you need in one package with your rig is so helpful. So definitely primes when possible, but zooms we are not against by any means for a lot of situations. This one says, why are you two so cool? Thank you. When will you try Leica R with the C70? I would love to. I'm having a lot of fun with our Contact Zeiss kit right now. I would love to mess around with some Leica Rs if I can get my hands on them. So if you know anyone in like the Vancouver area that's got some that I could maybe mess around with, let me know. How did you first market your business to find more couples? So this is tricky. I was so young. I was 18 when we started doing this, and I had the luxury of like not sweating it too much financially. I was just like, it wasn't a good business approach, but I was just kind of waiting for couples to come to me after putting some work out and all that. But then when things needed to pick up a bit and I needed more income, I definitely became a little more proactive and was reaching out to friends and doing stuff for next to nothing to add to the portfolio, which is a really cool approach just because it's with a friend, you know them so well already, so that is a big leg up. Also, if you're doing it for next to nothing, you kind of have creative freedom because there's less expectation from the couple likely, so you can really just do what you want and what you'd like to make more of. If you could speak to your younger filmmaking self, what piece of advice would you give? Trust your instincts a bit more. If you want to try something that not necessarily everyone else there is doing, who cares? Go for it. I remember in the first few years of our business, like glide cams and very like cheesy cinematic look, that was how you approached a wedding film. And I remember in the back of my mind, I was always like, what if someone did like a really more like guerrilla filmmaking style handheld look to, in a wedding film? And I remember just being like, but no one does it, so I can't do it. Also, the gear wasn't quite good enough to be able to pull that kind of look off well, but I wish I still gave it a try earlier on, because that was definitely the look that I preferred, but I kind of put that aside because it wasn't what was done. So I would say listen to your instincts and don't be afraid to try something different. So that's it for today. Just a quick Q&A video, just for something different, you know. You're going to be seeing more of me on YouTube this year, so if you have ideas of videos you'd like to see, leave that in the comments below. I'd love it if you'd like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.